Hello again, and welcome to part 2 of our key features of non-chronological reports. What we're going to do now is have a look at the text about butterflies that I showed you briefly at the end of part 1, and we're going to see if we can find the key features that should be in a non-chronological report. So let's very quickly go through those. It should be written in the present tense. It should use general nouns. So in this case, we're reading about butterflies, not one particular butterfly, all butterflies. So we're using general nouns. It's written in the third person. Factual description should be in there, technical words and phrases, and the language is often formal and impersonal. So those are the things that we're looking out for in this text. What I'm going to do is highlight those features on the screen. I'm going to ask you to look for some yourselves as well, because I want you to be thinking about the types of language in this text so you know what types of language you need to be using in your own non-chronological reports later in the week. Remember, you're going to be writing about hedgehogs. First of all then, let's look for some examples of the present tense. Now it's the verbs in a text that tell us what tense it's in. So we're going to be looking for the verbs in the present tense. Past tense verbs often end in ed. Let's see if we can find some verbs in the present tense. I'll show you an example first of all. So if we start by reading the first paragraph, butterflies belong to the order of insects known as Lepidoptera. This means they have scaly bodies and wings and a feeding tube on the front of the head called proboscis, coiled up when not in use. Their wings may be large, brightly coloured and patterned. Butterflies are found in most parts of the world and different species are adapted to the environments in which they live. Now that's the introduction, and it tells us what butterflies are, and there's a little bit of general information in there. Let's see if we can find some verbs in the present tense then. You have a look first, and then I'll highlight some for you to help you out. So reread it. Okay, let me help you out if you haven't managed to find any. Here's one. Butterflies belong to the order of insects known as Lepidoptera. So belong shows us it's in the present tense. There's also means. Now in the past tense that would be this meant, but it's present tense. This means they have scaly bodies. We've also got have, which should be had if it was past tense. And butterflies are found in most parts of the world, and different species are adapted to the environments in which they live. So just in that first paragraph, we found a number of verbs that are in the present tense. So what we can do, if you like, you could put a tick to show in this box that we've found examples that this is written in the present tense. Now I'm not going to go through all the paragraphs and find all of the verbs in the present tense. We will see some as we read on. I'm going to read the second paragraph to you now. Follow it as I read. See if you can spot some more verbs in the present tense. But let's also see if we can start to find some of these general nouns. Okay, remember, general nouns are when we're making generalizations about something, or it shows that we're writing about all butterflies, not just one particular butterfly. Read paragraph 2 with me if you can follow. Like all insects, the butterfly's body is divided into 3 parts: head, thorax and abdomen. On the head are a pair of antennae used for smelling and 2 large compound eyes. 3 pairs of legs and 2 pairs of wings, fore and hind, grow from the thorax. The wings are made of a very thin membrane stretched over a network of veins in the same way as the skin of an umbrella is stretched over the frame. Tiny overlapping scales on the membrane give the wings their pattern and colour. Now I'm sure if you scan through that paragraph you will find some more examples of verbs in the present tense. So I can see here are a pair of antennae, and we've got grow. Past tense of grow of course is grew. So present tense and give. There are more examples in there, but what I'd like to do now is look at the first two paragraphs, so 1 and 2, and see if together we can find some general nouns. I'm going to highlight those in a different colour. Okay, so let's start to highlight some. So of course we've got butterflies. I'm not talking about one particular butterfly or one particular type of butterfly. When we say the butterfly's body, we're not talking about one particular butterfly, we're talking about butterflies in general, all of them. Okay, now if I scan down to the third paragraph, I'm going to read that as well, and we'll see if that's got any general nouns in there as well. Male butterflies tend to be more brightly coloured than the females, but the females are larger. They also have bigger wings, enabling them to fly even when they're carrying a heavy burden of eggs. A female butterfly may lay up to 3,000 eggs, always choosing an appropriate plant for the caterpillars to feed on. However, usually only 1 or 2 eggs out of 100 hatch out, and many others die as they grow through the stages of larva, caterpillar, and chrysalis, pupa, to become an imago, adult butterfly. I'm going to carry on reading as well now, so follow on please. The imago usually has a lifespan of only a few weeks. It feeds on nectar from flowers or other sweet food, such as overripe fruit, which it sucks up through the proboscis. This food provides energy to fly and reproduce, but most butterflies do not need any bodybuilding foods to see them through their short lives. In fact, a few species have mouth parts that do not open, so they cannot feed. Okay, so we can see some more general nouns in there. We've got male butterflies, females, we're not talking about one particular male or female, but all of them with the butterflies. And we've also got caterpillar and flowers. So we're making generalizations there. Right, so we've got some examples of general nouns. I would be happy to tick those off and say that yes, they are in that example text. Third person, so when you write your non-chronological reports about hedgehogs, you'll be writing it in the third person. So you will be using words like he, she, it, or they. Probably not he or she, because you wouldn't be referring to the hedgehogs as he or she. You'd refer to them as it if you're talking about one hedgehog, or they if you're talking about more than one. So I think in here we're looking for words like it or they. So let me change the colour of my highlighter again. I'd like you to scan through. So that means you don't need to read every word. Scan through, and we're looking for it and they. It is a very short word, so you should be able to find that if you're looking, scanning. Give you a few more seconds to spot some examples of it or they, or other appropriate third person language. Okay, so I found they here. Their wings. They again. And then there's another present tense verb there, are. Their short lives. Okay, so we've got some examples there of things being written in the third person. Now, the next key feature that we've listed is factual description. If you read through the whole text, or think about what I've read to you as the whole text, then it's full of facts about butterflies. It's all factual description. So nothing in there is made up or opinion, it's all factual. So I won't highlight that in the text in front of you because I'd have to highlight everything. Technical words and phrases. Now, this is real specialist knowledge about what you're writing about. You will have spotted some words which are new to you in this text, and they are most likely to be the technical words and phrases. Luckily, a lot of them have a very simple and brief explanation in the example text. I'm going to highlight the technical words and phrases in a moment, and I bet you can spot some of those really, really quickly. When you write about hedgehogs, some of the information you need, or some of the technical words and phrases that you will need, will be in Miss Hedges' video, but you might want to do some research as well. Let's see if we can spot some technical words and phrases in this text. I'm going to highlight this word first of all, Lepidoptera. Now, that's actually the Latin name for the type of insect that a butterfly is. And it means they've got scaly bodies and wings, and that is actually explained to you there. This word here, proboscis, is also technical. It's a scientific word. And again, we're told it's the feeding tube on the front of the head. Okay. And thorax and abdomen, again, technical language. So they're the different body parts, the head, the thorax and the abdomen. And of course, antennae. So these are the kinds of words that would likely be found in a glossary as well. I'm going to skip down to paragraph 3. And again, we can see larva, chrysalis. They're not words that we use every day, are they? And they might need some explanation. There we go, and proboscis is there again. So there are some examples for you of technical language, technical words and phrases. I'm sure there are some more in there. Yes, I can see membrane, and there might be some others as well. So those are the very specific scientific words about butterflies. That is our technical language, technical words and phrases. And we can tick that off because they are in our example. The language is often formal and impersonal. So impersonal means that we're not saying things like I, me, we're not putting our opinion or our thoughts in there at all. It's impersonal. It's detached from us and our thoughts. So it means that it's full of facts and it's not our own ideas. We're not being creative and trying to describe things in great detail. We're sticking to the facts and we're being impersonal. And we can see that words such as the wings, help reinforce the fact that it's impersonal writing. So let's highlight some of those in red. The females. The butterfly's body. Words like them. Okay, so we're not using us, we, our, I, or me. It's impersonal, we're detached from it. Okay, so I hope that helps you understand the features of this type of writing and how it works. And you need to use the same type of language when you write your non-chronological report about hedgehogs. Tomorrow in the lesson, I'm going to show you how to plan. So you will need a piece of paper, preferably a double-sided one. You might need to use both sides of it, and a pen or pencil that you can make some notes with. Okay, good luck with the rest of today's lesson, and I will see you tomorrow.